Whether you win or lose doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you did your best, that you tried your hardest. I'm probably not the only person that heard this growing up. I'm definitely not the only person that said this to their kids. There's a lot of value in this thought. There's a lot of value in this idea. There's a lot of value in teaching kids that it's okay to try and it's okay to fail, as long as you try. Because if you try, and when you try, you give yourself a chance to succeed. And if you don't try, you will never succeed. There's an old phrase that basically says that just because you believe something is possible doesn't mean you will succeed. But if you believe something is impossible, you will guarantee failure. There's a lot of value in teaching kids that trying and failing and learning and trying again is okay. There's a lot of value in teaching kids and young adults and even adults that we should evaluate the process rather than the outcome. But what I've learned in my adult life is that when I have this arbitrary idea of best, it leaves a lot of room for doubt to creep in. And this is one of the things that caused some of the most significant PTSD in my life. See, working as an EMT or working as a law enforcement officer, things didn't always work out the way that I had hoped. And there were many times I found myself questioning whether I did enough, whether I knew enough, whether I could have done something better, whether I should have done something faster. Maybe that person wouldn't have died. Maybe that person wouldn't have got hurt. Maybe that criminal wouldn't have gotten away. If only I did something different, better, or faster. So when I try to evaluate the idea of whether or not I did my best, I started to realize that my best is a completely arbitrary thing. There's no hard definition. There's no way to know for sure that I did my best, that I tried my hardest. There was always room for doubt. See, just like chasing a rainbow to get that pot of gold, that rainbow is constantly moving. And the idea of doing my best is always something it's also something that's always moving. Like working out. How do I know that I ran as fast as I could? How do I know I couldn't have run just a little bit further? How do I know I couldn't have added just a little bit more weight or done one more rep? I don't. And I will never be able to go back in time, just like you will never be able to go back in time to try something different to see if it works better, to see if there's a different outcome. You will never know if you could have pushed yourself just a little bit harder or a little bit further. So there's always going to be that room for doubt to creep in. And to live a life worth living and to truly have a significant impact on the people around us and to truly crush the goals that we have in mind for ourselves, we have to eliminate this possibility of doubt. We have to kill this idea that maybe we could have done this or possibly we should have done that. See, Ernest Nightingale defines success as the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And what does that mean? Well, that means that we are constantly making progress towards something meaningful, towards something worthwhile, towards something bigger than ourselves. Now, sometimes those goals are self-seeking or they really only benefit us, but the biggest goals in life are much bigger than ourselves. Maybe it's something for our family. Maybe it's a goal to have $1,000 in our savings account or $10,000 in our savings account. Maybe it's a goal to lose a certain amount of weight or to lift or lift a certain amount of weight at the gym. These are not arbitrary goals. These are specific goals that we can always measure ourselves against. And it's easy to see if I want to have a goal, if I have a goal of having $1,000 in my savings account, it's easy to see whether or not I'm making progress towards that goal. Do I have $500 this month and next month I have $300? Well, it's easy to see that I didn't make progress towards that goal. But when I simply have an idea of I want to save money or I want to save more money, I want to lose weight, but I don't have a specific definition, well, there's always room for doubt to creep in to say I could have done this, I should have done that. Eddie Pinheiro puts it perfectly when he defines this concept of getting rid of your best, killing the idea of best, and simply doing what is required or doing what is necessary in that moment. Doing what is required to make progress towards a very specific, non-arbitrary goal. Do I have more money this month than I had last month? Perfect. I'm making progress. Did I spend more money than I should have? Maybe. But if I have more money than I did last month, I'm making progress towards my goal. Maybe I could have saved a little bit more money, sure. But I'm making progress. So the problem with living life with these arbitrary goals is it's easy to let that doubt creep in, and then that doubt grows into just giving up a lot of times of why am I trying? Why do I even bother? It's useless. We beat ourselves up to the point that we don't get up. But when we live a life of doing what is necessary to take steps towards that worthy ideal, then it's easy to see that we're making progress. And sometimes, many times, for some of us, it's the idea of doing what is necessary, doing what is required is simply hanging on, simply not giving up. And if that's all you can do, then you've done what is required. Then you've made progress towards your goal. It doesn't matter what your goal is. If you simply did not quit, you are a success. Now, if you want to measure yourself with some arbitrary metric of, I did my best, I didn't do my best, I hate to say it, but you're going to have a hard journey. And there's going to be times where you want to quit because you think you didn't do your best. You think you let yourself down or you let the people around you down, and you're going to start beating yourself up and you're going to start to spiral out of control because you have this rainbow type dream that you're constantly chasing that you'll never reach. So my challenge to you is quite simple. Set goals for yourself that it's easy, as Ernest Nightingale says, it's easy to find out if you are progressing towards that worthy ideal. Or as Eddie Pinheiro says, if you are doing what is necessary to get closer to that goal, then you are a success. And that's an easy metric to follow. And it's one that doubt won't creep in and push you off track with your negative spiraling out of control thoughts. So yes, it is vitally important to teach kids that success is getting up and trying. It's vitally important to teach kids and young adults that doing your best is important. But realize that that statement is based on the idea of giving yourself permission to try and make mistakes rather than an arbitrary goal that we'll never know if we reach. The idea of doing your best is something based on evaluating the process rather than the outcome. So we need to not be outcome oriented in all things. A lot of times we have to be process oriented and figure out, did we do the right thing at the right time? Did we do what was necessary in the moment to get closer to our goals? And if the answer to that question is yes, perfect. If the answer is no, then we've got some work to do. So that's my challenge for you today, is to get rid of this idea of best, because best is completely arbitrary, chasing a rainbow. And if you want to chase rainbows your entire life, I hate to say it, but I haven't met a single person that's ever found that leprechaun or that pot of gold. Not one person I know has ever reached goalposts that constantly move. So set goals for yourself that are not arbitrary. Give yourself permission to make mistakes. Sure. Give yourself permission to get up again. Absolutely. But don't simply do your best. Instead, my friends, my challenge to you is this: do what is necessary and do what is required to get closer to the goals you've set for yourself. So until next time, my friends, I love you. I will see you in the next video. Thank you for joining me on Iron Sharpens Iron.